one.
Welcome to TruthStream. We're here with Winifred Adams. She's a quantum healer, singer-songwriter, and intuitive, and probably going to need to do several interviews to cover all of the many gifts that that Winifred brings to the table. But I'm here again with Joe Rosati, of course, and Winifred.
Well, thank you for having me. Yeah, this is cool. Thank you so much. Nice to be with you both.
Yeah, we became acquainted on the Truth Tour recently in Anaheim, and it was a fantastic presentation that Winifred brought to the table, and we're here to explore that a little bit more. So,
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
We delved into medical intuition when I gave my talk there, and I was talking a little bit about how medical intuition works, but some people are familiar with that and some people aren't. So are you familiar with medical intuition?
I personally have a lot to learn. Scott, how about yourself?
Well, with the quantum energetics that I do, I think probably to a certain degree, but I don't know. It seems like your work takes it to the next level, and I'm anxious to learn a lot more about it. So please tell us what you what.
All right. Well, I have to give the little disclaimer if you don't mind, because medical intuition, everybody thinks when you're talking about medical intuition, you're talking about quantum healing, and they're actually separate. So to be clear, medical intuition, which we're working at in its legitimacy as a modality, which it is not yet recognized totally. I mean, we all out there know it by name, but we are looking for that to become a thing where you would call upon a medical intuitive in an ER. You would call upon a medical intuitive in a doctor's office, and the medical intuitive can help the doctor sort out and figure out things that maybe they're missing or they don't see, or there's another component to it. So medical intuition is technically the ability to scan the biofield of the body accurately. And that's like being a human X-ray machine and going in and seeing all the energetic anomalies in the body system. And then quantum healing is something totally different than that. It's a separate modality. I combine them effortlessly. I've put them together and have my whole career really. And so somebody had to sort me out and say, oh, you're a medical intuitive. I'm like, okay, well, I just do this thing. But quantum healing is now applying the quantum field to essentially assisting the energetic imbalances, whereas the medical intuition is analyzing where the imbalances are and what's wrong. So that's the short and skinny on it.
Well, and it seems like you can not only do this in person, but you're able to do this through even a Zoom meeting. Maybe I don't know if it's at the same level, but can you tell us what it is and how you do that, and what is you can read through even a Zoom meeting? Because it's been pretty miraculous to see you and Scott talk just a little bit prior to us hitting the record button.
Yeah, and if I
Sure.
can interject before you say that, I can feel we had a little interaction in the pre-interview, and I can feel my sinuses like totally redirecting. My breathing has improved immediately. My vision is, well, it's changing. I'm definitely feeling some changes as things are aligning.
All right. Well, I'll apply some quantum field energy while we talk, and we'll see what happens at the end. But what's happening in this is that we're recognizing the imbalances in the energy, and then I gave some actual physical exercises to kind of rearrange some of the biology and the physiology. And so I started out as a physiologist doing exercise therapy, graduated into herbology, and then on to quantum level healing because I kept feeling inside of people's bodies and I could answer why. And so you asked me what it is that what it is that we're doing in this, what it is that we're really looking at, and can I do it at a distance? I can do it blindfolded. I don't have to see the person. I can do it anyway now. I feel the field of energy so clearly that I'm able to identify the field of energy, I would say, very accurately at this point. So it doesn't matter through space and time.
That's pretty cool.
Some of the major assists I've done, like reformatting brains in ICU or things like that, have happened remotely, and the person never met me. They never even knew this was being applied because the family called me in, but they didn't know that. And that happened completely. Well, the spirit knew, because the spirit would stand next to me and would address me and speak to me in spirit while we're working. But it's because most of those people are in a coma when that happens, and they're available in spirit to talk. I don't go looking for them. They usually show up and start talking to me because they recognize that I am there. But those things get formatted and happen on an energetic level through the quantum field and are applied in real time. So just like a mother would long for their child across the globe somewhere and be able to somehow connect in that moment in time, that's the same, and we think that's miraculous, it's just really what is in the quantum field. And it's not really miraculous. It's coming to learn that this is what is, this is what happens. So we will get used to that in time. That'll be more common.
So
If that helps.
how did you come about, how did you arrive at where you are today? I mean, these, you know, this isn't something that you just develop over a day or two. How did
Well,
yeah, what was the course of study kind of?
um, I I basically was born with this, and I honed the skills through a variety of different modalities over time. So I was born as a medical intuitive, and I would say, to be more clear, an empath. I was someone that was highly, highly empathic. So I would feel what's going on in the room, like you do, Scott. I was feeling, inside people's bodies, and could, as a kid, walk up to them and put my hand right where their spot was because I felt it. And so part of my work was that if I no longer feel it in you, I know I fixed it. Then I had to go back and explain how I did that. So it got very technical over a period of time with herbology and body system health and everything. And I taught for an institute for a little while where I taught tongue analysis, pulse analysis, iridology, herbology, body system health analysis, all that kind of stuff. And it was very natural. It's almost like remembering from another lifetime and pulling it all together into this now. And then being able to prove that was really important to me. And it still is to this day. So I don't flippantly say, oh, I can just see this or do it. I like to be able to back that up. And there's a variety of ways that I do that. So I think it's been a course of time where a difficult scenario would come my way that the doctors had given up on, or they were just stuck in a place that no one would help them anymore. And I love that. That's literally what I live for. I love that. So when that comes along, I'm like, we got this. We'll figure this out. And we do. And then somehow through spirit communication also and alignment in that, there's been more assist that I'm shown the next step or the next tool in the toolbox or what we need to see next. And it's evolved that way over time. I'd say by grace, honestly.
Wow. That's fascinating. So this was something that you just grew up with, that was always a part of you?
Yeah, I was the weird one here. I was always the weird one. I was
yeah, I can relate.
But weird in a good way.
Yeah, they used to call me Winnie Woo Woo.
Ah.
Yeah, I was a crazy one. I was like the out of the box kid, and just that, I'm sure just like you, when you see it, or you feel it, right? I mean, even you, Joe, when you come into a creative thing, you just know.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't, I've almost, there's times I kind of set it to the side because when I go into it, it's like a trance, and it's been interesting to make the focus lately on podcasting, because when I get into the musical thing, it's like going to another level, and I can't really explain it, and I don't want to be bothered, and I know that there's a lot of things that I want to bring into that. And I've kind of set it on the side because I take it so seriously that I know there's going to be a time to focus on that. But why I've gotten so involved in this is because of hearing what's been happening to children. And speaking, because what's interesting about Scott and I's friendship is he's the one that's been a little bit more woo-woo, if you will. And I've been more like, okay, well, I need to see, this and this and the results. And I need to, be able to explain this. And so what's been great about this whole Truth Tour movement, and is specifically going to the event, is seeing people and meeting people like you and
I agree that
Katie.
that's the people and the synergy is
Huge.
cool.
Oh,
It's been amazing because the woo-woo aspects of what Scott's talked to me about, he doesn't share a lot of the stuff that he's talked about with
anybody.
with really anybody.
A couple of friends.
Yeah. And I don't go around talking about this with any of our friends. And so I just, I listen to it, and I think the beautiful thing and why we're doing this, and I'm trying to remember to keep looking at the camera here rather than the screen. So bear with me.
We've switched up a little bit.
We've switched a couple things. So my point is that in bringing all of us together, which Louis Herms has done with this, the support of his amazing wife, Araceli, I hope you get to see this because we love you guys, is that we're able to take this energy that's been, created from meeting each other and take this somewhere that helps each other and humanity in understanding and connecting to something that we're really not. I've never been able to do this before. And so that being said, that's why immediately I was like, oh gosh, we need to connect. And Scott, created this group on an app, and it was like, this totally makes sense because now we can keep in touch with each other and expand on this. And I've never really been able to God, how do I say this, to put all the pieces together like I am now, because Scott's connecting with certain components of people that are a little more woo-woo, and then I've been able to connect with people on either an artistry level or a production level. And so we all need to come together as a team, and that's what's so amazing about this group, is we're able to do that now and just have it explode into this beautiful tapestry of all of the qualities that we possess, but also to have each other bring out the better components of that we're not able to do on our own. And I hope that makes sense, but I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah.
I keep saying 3 years ago, but it was really 5 years ago. I have a terrible concept of time. I always have.
That's true.
Horrible concept of time. Time's not linear for me, man. It's just tough.
You're on the cosmic bend. That's what it is.
Yeah, always have been. But I told Joe a long time ago about this stuff. What's kind of cool is he's getting to see all of the things happen now that I mentioned 5 years ago were going to happen.
Yeah.
And all of us coming together, all of this kind of thing, that was all part of it.
Right.
And,
so 5 years ago when he said that, I looked like this. And slowly over time, it's getting a little bit more like this. But I'll tell you, I'm not the woo-woo guy. So anyway, I just had to throw
I don't believe that entirely. I just don't. I'm sorry. I've met you both, and I don't believe that, because you're in synergy together and you're a powerful pair. I mean, what you're doing is okay, wait, my glasses are good. You're going to
we got to throw humor in here as well. So
you are coming together though to bring awareness and change the world. So what is the purpose of the podcast? What is the aligned trajectory of that exactly?
Well, I think that the beautiful thing is, many times I listen to Scott come up with concepts. He comes up with so many, and I'm, with my monkey brain, I'm like, okay, how do we make this real? Well, we're looking for the truth, we're seeking the truth, we're finding the truth, and we both have airstreams. So he came up with the name TruthStream, and it was just like, oh my God, it's freaking brilliant.
Well, it's obvious.
It
anyway.
makes sense. And so immediately I'm like, okay, is TruthStream taken? Is there anyone else that has TruthStream? Where else can I find this? Yeah, there's TruthStream Media, but there's not TruthStream. So it was so simple, and I was so excited that it wasn't taken. And so the beauty of it is, I started a podcast like 5 years ago, and I was interviewing artists, and looking back on it now, there were like lefty, liberal, kind of blue artists, and then I, for some reason, thought I had to go out and interview them with a microphone and blah blah blah. And then over time, I kind of put that to rest, and then the whole pandemic hit, and I started, watching Nicholas Vignamin and then communicating with him and procuring many guests. And then finally it was like, wait a second, I need to start interviewing people. So I started interviewing people locally on a Zoom chat. And then Scott and I had always talked about doing this. And it was finally like, now that I build up my local podcast or show, really, because a podcast is just audio, I was finally at that point where it's like, okay, I don't want to do the bigger, the guests that are more worldly or national, because I want to make a difference in my own backyard. And so finally, when Scott and I had talked about it, finally it was like it just aligned, and we started at the very end of July, and we interviewed Ishmael Perez as our first guest, and it was just like it was on. And from doing that, it's led to speaking at the Truth Tour in Olympia, going to LA, and our relationship is cosmic. I don't know if we've been brothers before.
You so seem like that. You seem like you've been like family in some other lifetime, for sure. I mean, it's just like
and our
inseparable. Yeah.
Yeah, our grandfathers actually probably knew each other because they came over on the boat about the same time from the same place in Italy. And Winifred actually lives in a town that my mother was born in, that I spent a lot of time with as a kid.
It's so cool.
And there's all these great connections. The channel is almost secondary to the journey, because the journey is what we share on the channel. And man, it gets more intense day by day.
And we just do organic conversations. We go into this like, since I've studied a bit of acting, as far as improv, just give us a couple of topics and then we just go. And why we don't do a lot of editing is because we want people to see that thought process and the flubs or whatever it is that we're going through. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that vulnerableness and just kind of figuring out as I go. And he is too, the flaws.
The flaws.
I love it, actually. I'm all about the organic. I do the same thing. I tell people, and they're like, well, you're going to edit that? I'm like, I don't want to, because that's real. And that's you in the moment, Yeah. And, so if I'm like, oh, wait a minute. No, I'm kidding. That's what people do. They're like, oh, wait. And they realize that, well, wait, can we take that out? No, that's you. That's real. Right. You have an itch. You have a blank. You have a thought, and then you change your thought. Right. That's all important today, how people come across and how they are showing up, I think, because we've been so polished for so long and all this stuff that COVID changed the game, and everybody can be themselves and be silly and be in their pajamas also and still be taken seriously and be real, because they're showing up as them in the world as a spirit, flaws and all, warts and all.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you don't have any warts. You have a very lovely complexion.
Thank you. I have no warts. No, I'm sorry. I left the witch thing behind for quantum.
Well, you're more like Glenda the Good Witch, I think.
I am. Yeah. Some lady told me the other day they're going to have like a witch walk here. I'm like, yeah, well, if there's a witch walk, I'm the good witch. And by the way, I don't even like that term. I take umbrage to witching, because we already did that in lifetimes. Like, that's over. We're not in that dimension anymore. We're in the now. We're in a much bigger field. So I think
ladies first.
Go ahead.
No, I was just thinking about when I was listening to your presentation, and I had not met you before and didn't know anything about you, and you're immediately talking about quantum energy work, which is something I've been doing for a long time in a different, little bit different modality. And then you brought up the story with the tiger and how you dealt with the tiger, and I thought, oh my God, I know this woman. Like it just clicked.
The tiger is, I think that's another star system or whatever. And I don't know. I was born speaking tiger, and that's not a joke. No one taught me how to speak tiger. I really do. I do. I'm not kidding. And there's something about it that's so natural and so loving and so real. And I guess we didn't show the other pictures that day of me having a conversation with the 800-pound white tiger. And he found me and he came right up to me. And, people are like, oh no, get back from the fence. And I sat down and he sat down, and we had a healing. We had a talk and a healing, and it was really lovely. It's just, I consider those the most divine moments, some of them, of my entire life. And I'm not joking. I mean, it's just the communion of this massive, forceful, wild beast that is open-hearted in that moment, that comes along, and they aren't a wild beast. They are a sentient, thoughtful, and I say that carefully. They're thoughtful, they're fun-loving, they're intense, but they're thoughtful. And we dismiss them in our hierarchy of human mind. And I think that's where we get lost as humans, when in fact, I believe we are given the commission as a human to represent, as in our highest capacity, the acceptance of all beings and loving kindness and compassion, as we take into consideration how we show up in the world and how we are stewards of this place. But we kind of lost sight of that and take advantage of it, or allow it to be bastardized, which is your cause of bringing awareness to children that are abused and trafficked and so on, which is a complete distortion from where we should be, and hopefully will be soon. So I like to see things on the yummier side of the fence, really.
Well, and I admit I was surprised. We went down to an event last summer, and Michael Jaco was there, and Brad Olson, Alex Collier, and Rob. It's Rob Potter's event in Shasta, and our friend Nick Alvear had a reading done, and Scott had a reading done, and I didn't really know what I was getting into. But then when they did the reading, these two women, I want to know their information to thank them, but they did this reading, and they basically said that I was 250 years ago, I was an 8-year-old that essentially died in a cave below, England, or the general Europe, but I'm pretty sure it was like, either England or Ireland, up in that general area. It wasn't real specific. But it resonated with me, because it made me realize that's why when I heard about the trafficking, I was so adamant. And I've talked about this before. My dad was a pharmacist, and everybody loved my dad. He was the godfather of the hilltop in Tacoma. He was, quote unquote, a professional drug dealer. He was a pharmacist. But I just watched what he did and how he interacted with people, and I just figured, oh, I can go out and tell the truth, and people are just going to get it. And Scott struggled a lot. He was letting people know about this, not the exact topics, but a lot of truths in 2016, 17, and then I think his last post on Facebook was probably 5-6 years ago. So I'm like, okay, well, I got this. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing this. And it's been very, very challenging, because he said, you can't just go and share this shit.
And I warned you.
He warned me. He warned me, and I'm like, you know what? And I get it, and I keep getting backlash. But the thing for me is, I don't care, because I know that what I'm talking about is going to age well. I don't care if it takes 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. if I keep speaking about this, that eventually people are going to catch on. And I'm starting to see it slowly now, that people are, either, friend requesting me again, or liking certain things that I didn't even expect. But
Well, they're ready for it now. They weren't ready for it before the red pill effect. And now people are, it's not so foreign and it's not so crazy and out there. Now it's sort of like, uh-oh, we need to be aware of this and be responsible as human beings toward this situation that's happening.
yeah,
And now you're coming in almost at like the right time to just kind of remind everybody that, hey, we have a serious problem that's it's not happening then, it's happening right now.
yeah,
And you need to bring that awareness forward. The problem, I think, is that even, and I'm going to just interject this, even like with the quantum grammar, people are saying, but how? Okay, how do I help? How do I do it? How do we do this? You're telling me, and I hear you, but how? What do we do? What can I, the guy in rural America or in the suburb of, how do I help? What do I do? Do you know how?
Connect. No.
Connect?
Yeah.
talk about it. What would you say?
I don't know an answer to that because, to be honest with you, I'm still looking for, I'm not saying I'm looking for proof. I know it's happening. We have proof that it's happening. But what I'm looking for a little bit is the degree of the problem in real numbers and real perspective. I think that needs to be known. Even if someone went city by city and got people talking out of each city and said, this is happening. This happened last week. This is happening down at the border. This happened yesterday, and show that. And then people are going to be like, whoa, this is really like, it's not just a sort of kind of whenever thing. It's happening daily someplace. And then on top of that, in my world of understanding and my interviews and my things so far, what can be applied, like, how can we bring together, say, like Lewis's cause toward that and what you guys are doing, and say the filing in like Russell does that can stop things from the inside out? How can that work together? How can these things come together that it gets done both ways? It's a little bit like healing, in my opinion. Like, if you have an issue that's really severe in your body, sometimes we go top down, bottom up. It depends on what is needed. And sometimes we do both so that we can get at that core quicker. Or let's say you have something that's happening, like we'll take eczema, for example. A lot of people have that issue. You treat maybe topically and internally. Like, it's not just one or the other. So in this case, perhaps it's more than one solution. I don't have the full answer, but that's my thought process.
I think what's going to unfold is, like, I've interviewed a lot of local people running for office, and some of them know a little bit about what's going on. But I think how this shift is going to happen is whatever's going on with Elon Musk and waking up the masses, and then with the elections. Now, maybe the elections are going to happen, maybe the elections are not going to happen, but a lot of the people that are running, I feel that their whole thing is they need to start with the baby steps. They need to get people that are more left leaning to understand that, yeah, they don't want the crime, they don't want the critical race theory, just to get them. And so there's two ways that this thing is going to go. Either people are elected and they get in office, and then we can start really sharing the truth, because now they're in and they can't be out for a couple of years, so they can start really sharing what it is that's going on. Or there's going to be a bit of a hiccup, and there's going to be something that stops the elections from happening. So I think we're at the cusp or the precipice of something that's going to allow the awakening process to start happening at a much more quantum pace, as I see it. And then we can kind of let the cat out of the bag. I think there's a lot of hesitancy right now because the people that want to get elected and know the truth, like I think Carrie Lake, I think Tulsi Gabbard, they know a lot more that's going on than they can really talk about. But we need to pass that finish line and then allow them. But you can't throw everybody off with, hey, here's the depth of what's going on, because it's going to freak them out too much. 99% of the population would be in the mental hospital if they knew the truth of what was really going on. So we need to
Yes.
we need to make that shift. And the shit's hitting the fan in November. I mean, we've never seen anything like this about what's coming out. So I think it's going to present itself as to what we need to do. But we've also had a lot of things that need to be timed properly in order to wake up the masses, and people realize, oh, is that really Joe Biden? There's a lot to this. There's a lot of moving parts, but we need
I
some divine
know.
intervention.
It's like, so yeah, divine intervention, totally. It's like very mysterious, isn't it? Like exactly what is going to take place. And I'm just kind of sitting in the now, because people need help right now today. People need help tomorrow.
Right.
We have to do today, and how well we do today might dictate some of tomorrow, hopefully, maybe. And I hope that it can be a soft and smooth transition, however this comes to pass.
I had a conversation today. Was it's actually a tech question I had for an IT friend of mine, but brilliant guy, always has been, but very very rigid fellow. And
Indeed.
and I was kind of surprised when because I'm the woo woo guy. I'm out there. I'm like hippie Scott, whatever. Always have been. They love me anyway, but when I brought up what was going on, I'm usually met with a lot of resistance, and today it was just a whole lot of acknowledgement. Like, yeah,
there you go. That's
on.
part of it.
And I threw some real curveballs at him as far as what to expect, and he was right there with it, and I was shocked.
Well, maybe it's because of some of your work and the things that you're doing that, that's just it. People are waking up and they're hearing it. And the more they hear it, the more they can't get away from it. At some point, you have to look at the truth. You have to look at what's taking place, and that it's an epidemic of distortion, and it needs to be corrected. It's an abomination of human beings.
Yeah, well, he's a good metric for someone that, I mean, I don't want to say normie, because
he's a very intelligent
he's
guy.
He's not a normie. He's that yeah, right, very libertarian kind of fellow, but he's definitely a show me kind of guy. There's not a lot of intuition happening there, and I have immense respect for the guy on many levels. But he's one of the most frustrating friends that I have. He just really is.
We won't say his name.
No, well, if he sees this, he'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I love him to death. I really do. What am I getting at? The point is, I think this is a good metric for how the tide is turning. We're seeing this now. I have regular conversations with another good friend of mine who's kind of in the same camp, kind of a show me kind of guy. And and he always has some kind of counterpoint that I almost always shatter with fact, because and yeah, he's kind of right there with me on this stuff. I mean, I don't think
finally
he really wants to admit it, but yeah, they're all snapping at a line, I think, at this point.
Well, they don't want to admit that their conspiracy theory friend is actually,
could have some fact in that they could actually be enlightening you a little bit. Yeah. I mean, it's been such a weird narrative out in the public. And as we know, that all this stuff, like what you guys are doing, that's the real news. That's what's happening. It's kind of coming out there. And, everything we see on TV is fabricated or a play. It's actors being paid and newscasters are entertainers technically
Right?
by
Isn't there a
contract.
contract about being entertainers, right? If you can
Totally,
expand on
right?
that a little bit, that might help some of our.
Well, it is. They actually sign on that line that it is. It's entertainment, and
Right.
that creates an exit to the liability. But everything's in fraud anyway, so it really doesn't matter. It just has to end.
Right. Well,
I
and
think
here's the
it's just
thing. I've been putting myself out there for a couple years now, very publicly, and I don't get paid for it. And I'm an uncle. I've been an outdoor ed counselor. I've run a nightclub. I've helped artists. I don't have anything in a lot of people's perspective to gain out of doing this. But if
Or to
I
lose.
or yeah, or lose, I guess, or lose. I'm not a multimillionaire actor, in this 3D world. I think the 5D world is going to be a lot different, but then what is money going to be? That's a whole different topic for a different day, to quote Bishop Larry Gators. But um
yeah,
my
we won't
point,
need it. We won't need it at all. It's
no,
just not going to be an exchange.
but yeah, exactly. My point is I'm an uncle, and the reason that I went to the high school that I used to go to is because my niece goes there. My nieces are going to go there. And
Oh yeah.
damn it, I'm not going to allow them to have masks on their faces. So my thing is this: I will fight for what is true and what is right. I will fight for people, even if they're fighting with me, because I know how this ends. And you can call that intuition, you can call it connecting with source. But I know when people, when my nieces see my videos, it maybe someday, 5, 10 years, and they look back and they're proud of their uncle, that's who I am. That's who I'm fighting for, because I
Yeah, your
want I
family.
want them to know the truth, and I will do anything to help them understand that, whether they understand it now or later. I don't care. I'm so used to obstacles and frustrations. Nothing phases me anymore. So frankly, fuck it. I really don't care. I'm fighting for them. I'm fighting for humanity. There's nothing that's going to stop that at this point.
Beautiful. Yeah, I think
I want
on a physical healing level, I'm fighting for humanity because they keep distorting the gene pool and keep bastardizing the beautiful thing that we've been given as a gift, because this thing works so hard on our behalf. And if we just give the vessel the right things to intake in the right environment, including the energetic environment, including the words we say to one another and the things that the subspace around us. It's so important right now. And it's important, I feel, at this point in time to be very uplifting, even though there's like a veil of gloom and doom of what's coming, or say, one system folds and another begins, whatever that is. But we have an obligation to stay steady, to be even and balanced within that. And if we don't do that, our biology suffers. So we all have our piece and our role, I guess, in this, one way or the other.
Well, I want to bring it back around to, there was a bit of a kerfuffle that happened on the Truth Tour, and
Great word.
that
Kerfuffle. Let's just stop for a
that
second.
that no, but that evening we got to all hang out and have a conversation about it, and you really had the 30,000-foot view. You saw all the pieces on the board, and your analysis, I think, was
Poignant.
well, yeah, but antiseptic almost. It
Oh,
was just,
it was
this is
wonderful.
what I see, and it was beautiful the way you put that together. And I'm just,
Spontaneous.
yeah, but I'm just wondering, at what point in your life did that level of intuition, or that view, um when did that begin to sink in and become a part of your reality?
When my brother committed suicide when I was 11 and he was 26, and I knew he was going to ahead of time, and I begged him not to. And I tried to have him understand. And today, in lieu of this conversation, I really wonder if he knew the things you're talking about or knew something about them, and it disturbed him on a core level. and I can't answer that. I don't know for sure, and I don't really want to go down that road entirely, but he and I shared the same dream my entire life, and I was 13 years younger than him. So he and I, we had a real strong telepathic connection, I found out later. And when he became quite ill and came home, I spent a lot of time with him because I was home. I was a kid. And while his liver failed and they couldn't figure out an answer for it, they couldn't figure out why. Intuitively, I spent a lot of time with him. He was a genius. He was really super smart. And so his pastime would be to like figure out how many heartbeats I had had all my life up to that minute. And he would be working out these crazy page-long mathematical equations. And then I'd come along and I said to him one day, I said, I had a nightmare last night. And I told him half of it, and he told me the other half.
Wow.
And that was a foreshadowing nightmare we both shared all the way till his death, that he would be, we would come up against this time, racing in time to try and get there before whatever. Right. So that moment changed my life forever. And when he did it, I found him, and he had shot himself, but I had found him, and I believe all that was orchestrated. I was in tune with what was happening up here as best I could be at that age, and I knew. And so I was able to process that and deal with that and then tell other people, like, okay, this has happened. But see, then I saw him. He didn't just leave in the physical body. He was with me. And I'd be like, he's right here. He's not gone. He's here. Of course, that didn't make anybody feel better at that time, and that was hard. But that moment in time awakened me to so many things that were already happening, and our bond together, his and mine, was so strong, and it was so unique. And so that gave me a lot of insight. I had many stories that are off the chart that are to answer your question, technically, Scott, but epic stories, which I will tell in my book. And I will share that as time goes on.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being so vulnerable. I didn't expect to hear that.
Wow.
Oh, that's okay. It is okay. I'm
Yeah.
okay with that. And we were okay with that. He and I, not okay that that had to happen necessarily, but he really was failing. I mean, physically, he was failing, and they really didn't have an answer. But isn't it neat that I can go forward in life, and in a way, I do have those answers? I can explain those things for people now. I can give that out of the box answer and have them go back to their doctor with it.
If I had to describe you in one word, in my limited exposure, but huge exposure, I'd say grounded.
Thank
Incredibly
you.
deeply
That's a
grounded.
compliment. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's been a sobering journey of the shaving of many lifetimes of karma. Not all good and painful. I don't know how I'm still standing sometimes, the things I've had to kind of endure and go through, but I have faith. I have 1000% faith. So anybody that says I'm woo woo and I don't believe in God and all that, well, you can go and, swim a few laps for me, because that's not the case. I have definitely come face to face straight up with God, and I've watched the miracles happen through me and with me and in spite of me, all that. So this has been a hard honing to the space at this point, and it's a daily activity of that honing. It never ends, and it's life. It is what is right now, so I don't walk alone. You don't walk alone. We just need to kind of be in tune with what we walk with, right? And
Yeah.
it stays with us.
Yeah. I'd say unflappable would be the second word that I would choose, because you seem to be really, I guess that goes with grounded, but yeah. I mean, you face a lot of
I've
spiritual
I've
attack and
let
whatnot.
yeah, totally. But you know, let's talk what you were talking about for a second, Joe, and that is who are the perpetrators of this event. And just on a small micro level, forget the healing for a minute. We have people that some people refer to as the deep state in this world, and we'll call them closed-hearted, imbalanced souls, souls that have sold their sweetness for something other. And I've come head to head with those folks. I've come head to head with a lot of demons in a lot of bodies. I've come head to head with, you know, people that are mentally challenged, trying to find their way back to that center point. And that takes a great amount of fearlessness. And I have, believe me, I've had my moments of on my knees too, right? So I don't know. I'm seasoned a little bit at this point. I'm not cold-hearted and I'm not bitter
Right.
about it. I'm tired, but I'm not bitter. And that's something I think that we really need to take away here, because are we going to win this with fight, fight, fight? Probably not. That's kind of the the antithesis of the lesson. We need to be in this space for what we come up against and maybe even that collective karma so that we can correct this, right? There's a lot, just everybody has great strength. Um, and we need to hold each other up through the testing. How's that? I think that's the key here, that we really, really need to keep reaching out in compassion with one another. And that's something I learned the hard way. I really did. I'll share that with you. I was used as a surrogate for somebody for their healing, and things were done for me that actually, in the long run, benefited me. But in the meantime, it could have looked scary. But that person got healed, and it took me a while to heal from that. But one thing I realized is they were like, wow, you do that for me? And it occurred to me, it's like, yeah, because you wouldn't do that for me, would you?
Oh, wow.
And that's what I learned, that
Yeah.
very few are willing to do that in return. But yeah, I would do that for you. Yeah, I would. So that's where I stand.
You
I
just
would.
nailed it. You just nailed it completely, because
You really did.
that's really where it is. And you know, I was talking to a bunch of truthers about this, the idea that, you know, we've had a group of people that are very oppositional, that have been, I mean, hell, they just want us to die. You know, I mean, it's just a horrible opposition, and we need to find a way to love them, because, you know, I guess when you realize that, you know, we were created and created by this source, and that source lives within us, and then we get to come around to that idea of being that, and then now we have to look to see that in others, and then when you see it in others, then you got nothing but love, because nothing else works. It's
That's right.
it's all about
There's
finding a way to love them, you know.
there is nothing else at the end of the day. There's nothing that's going to heal you. There's no healer that's going to come. It all happens in love. It has to. It just has to. It's the only mathematical formula in the universe that is
What we're made
correct.
of. Yeah. It's
It,
just as easy as going back to what we're made of, what we're made to do.
we have an opportunity, I think, here. And with what you're doing and the stuff that I do day in and out, day in and day out with people, and you know, wherever that's going to lead to next, and opening bigger doors to include more people at one time and so on, these things are bringing us to a place of recognizing our birthright and our strength and the opportunity of communing for the benefit of all mankind. And, you know, a couple of years back, I was going to show this on the Truth Tour, but I didn't get to that. I created a jewelry line, and it's called the Golden Age series. And the Golden Age series, I'm still finishing, but it's the unfoldment of consciousness in the Golden Age. And this is a trademarked line that I worked on, and I contemplate each piece for up to a year at a time when I make it.
Oh,
And the first one, yeah, really, truly. And
I can appreciate that, because yeah, sometimes a piece of art is like a child, like, there's the birthing process and all the things you go through. So I totally relate to what you're saying. So please continue.
oh yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, this stuff falls in your lap, as you know, Joe. You get like the thread, and then you carry the thread, and you work with the thread and whatever. So I worked with this one stone that I got first, and it was the shape of a pentagon, and I turned it into what's called the king crown ring. And the king crown ring is interesting because it has round and square bezel facets and things on it, and it's created out of a heliodor, and the heliodor is a yellow emerald. Well, emerald used to be considered the most healing gemstone in the world, and the representative of the open heart, the green open heart with the emerald ray. And the emerald ray is coming back strong again now, and it was really damaged during Atlantis when Atlantis blew up. But now the heliodor is the yellow emerald, but helio meaning sun, and the heliodor, the energetic meaning of that stone is to transmute the will of me into the greater good of all. And so I twisted it in the irony of, we're going to make a woman's ring with a big ostentatious yellow emerald that looks like a king's ring, right? And it's going to be the king crown ring, which is about taking and absorbing all of the personal will and transmuting it into the will for mankind, the greater good for mankind.
Wow.
And that's been kind of the hinge of a lot of lessons I've had to learn along the way, and moving through that and really adhering to that beautiful thread of, this is what we're doing. Yeah, this is what we're doing. So I don't know. That's another love of mine. So one of those
Well,
things.
I think it's so cool that we're able to talk about this stuff. And I mean, a lot of us feel like we're on the last gallon of a 22-gallon tank, going through all this stuff and coming together. Whether it was the finale in LA, or listen to people like Bruce Poppy, who's been traveling the whole
Yeah.
thing, and what we're getting out of it. It's like, I needed, and I'm pretty sure Scott did too. I'll speak for him as I do sometimes. We needed this because we can, as a team, we can help carry each other through the finish line. Because I mean, I feel so invigorated meeting you guys, and it's like, now I don't have to be, not that I'm not whole, but now I can rely on the amazing folks I met at the Truth Tour to help carry the components of what I don't have within me anymore. Like, an example of it is, what's been beautiful to, like, specifically today, Bruce and Lisa, they're promoting my music video, because I just don't have it in me anymore to share it, because I'm just, it's so censored. And it's like, it's been out there for a year. And it's like, I didn't write this for me to listen to. I wrote it to help people, have it's a mini red pill.
Well,
And
tell everybody the name of it.
it's called Freedom Now. And yeah, you can go to Joe Rosati Collective and find.com and find all that information. As I throw in my own, but thank you. But so, in the middle of Bruce promoting it today and sharing my YouTube link to it, my whole page got taken down, and it's like, shit.
Of course it did.
Of course it did.
But isn't that a good feeling?
But you know what? It's because I'm onto something, and it's like, this is what it's like. I'm running, I'm out of gas, and there's one leg left, because I used to do track as a kid, right? Whether it was the 100-meter relay or the 400-meter. This feels more like everybody's running 400 meters and it's a mile relay. And I'm pretty much out, and I'm handing off the baton to the Truth Tour, and then they can help get it out there. And I sent Bruce all the proper links, and then Lisa's sharing it. and I don't have to talk about it anymore because, you know, as an artist, and you could probably relate to this, if you're talking about a piece of art and then someone says, who is it? And you're like, oh, it's me. It's so awkward. But to have a team that can see how hard I worked on something and share that with humanity and people, because I mean, it was divine intervention that I even was able to do this, because it's hard for me to go into a studio because it's, I'm thinking of all the artists and all the bands that I've listened to in all my life. And it's like, why is someone going to listen to my piece of art over someone else's? So it's like, shit, I hope it's good. I want
I
it to
don't
be.
even think that. I don't think that's true at all. I
Yeah.
think people are looking to you right now, and I think you should promote the shit out of it. Just stand up and say, "Hey, this is me. I did this, and damn it, it's for the kids. And check this out. This is the most important song you're going to listen to this year, right now. Like, own it, take
Well,
it. Like,
yeah, but it's so
it's
much better
yours."
coming out of your mouth than mine. So thank you.
There you go. Okay, well, I'm going to put the Joe Rosati hat on right now, and this is the amazing song that I just did right now. So seriously, I get you in terms of how hard this is, and that you feel, people were looking at me at the Truth Tour like, um, are you tired? I'm like, are you kidding?
It's
Are you joking? Like, there's no words. I said, just hug me for a while and then I'll be better. And literally, it's like that, right? Just, I can do this. Just give me a hug for a little while and then I'll be okay again.
Right. Well,
Right.
that's funny. So the song I wrote in 2020 is actually called Hug. I haven't even promoted.
Well, there you go.
I haven't even done a video for that because, well, Nicholas Vignon, when I told him about Freedom Now, he's like, okay, well, when you get the video, I'll be happy to share it. And I'm like,
we love him.
So I can't wait to make a video for Hug, because a hug is like both a virtual hug and a hug from a parent to a missing child, and a hug from someone that's I guess someone in the military, from someone like us that's just a citizen. And so it's like a very multi-level.
Well, hurry up, man. We're waiting for the hug. Let's get on with it. We want hugs.
Well, it was
let's
cool.
see this.
I mean, like, I was on camping trips with Joe when he was like, I'm going to be over here in my hammock. I got to write a song, and it was like, whatever it was, it's like the inspiration struck. He had to write the song. So I saw that part of the process. Then I heard the song. Then I made some suggestions
that came to life, like some horns
over and over and over. Yeah,
and the music video. Like,
so then he tells me about the Vignon thing, and he's like, "Well, I guess we need to do a video." And I told him, Airstream, let's.
You can't get much more American than an Airstream.
No, and
totally. It was so brilliant, and we went on the ride with you. It's awesome. It's awesome, and it's so beautiful the way you did it, and the organicness of that journey. I mean, I just am there with you the whole time, and it's real. And what's really nice about it, can I just say this, is it didn't shift around a lot. We got to focus on you and what you were. I was listening to the words because I wasn't like, it was calming.
Well, thank you. And well, it's funny because I've told Scott, like, he's the guy that seems like, I gotta relax. I gotta go to yoga, but I'm stressed out and going to yoga. And it's like, he's seen me, like, it's
I'm not the guy. That's Joe.
Yeah. He's seen me do that. Like, I'm frantic because I need to calm down. And I'll always tell him, like, look, I want to do these projects, but it has to happen organically and it has to percolate in a certain way. And it's like, that's exactly what
you guys are perfect together. It's perfect.
We're like the odd couple. He's like my brother from another mother.
There you go.
He's able to see the things that sometimes have too much anxiety to actually see, and he'll be like, well, how about this? And it's like, holy shit, that's a fucking great idea.
Well, but what was cool was that we ended up at the event with Nick
in Shasta.
Yeah. And Nick was there with a couple of Blackmagic cameras, and I mean, it all fell together exactly as it was supposed to be. And what I like is everything we're doing now is collaborative. It's so exciting to meet people like you, so
Ditto.
many people that we've met in the last week and last year.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the trajectory of our lives really is shaped and formed in a collaborative way with all these amazing minds. And
There's so many great minds on this tour, right? I mean, there's
Oh
so
my
many
God.
people that just
people that have
blew us
courage.
away.
You got to have the courage, and these are some of the most courageous people I've ever met. And
I
it's
agree.
yeah, and you're definitely one of them, Winifred. You know,
Well, thank you. Thank you. I
we're
don't
all
try to be courageous, but I think however people are needing to see that show up is how we're showing up on this tour, right? Or well, the tour's over, but how we showed up on the tour anyway. And that if it's one thing, it was definitely a courageous band of eccentric people coming together, and it made the audience feel so good. I mean, they were so loving, and so the hugs came from the audience. They were so appreciative of everybody, and even, and what a beautiful group of people all over. Really, I mean, very inspirational to me. It's like somebody gave me an infusion, like an IV again, just
Right.
being with these
Yeah.
people.
Good point. Exactly.
It was. Honestly, I came home and I should have been more tired, and in some ways I was, but in my spirit I was renewed because my spirit said, "Look, here's what you're doing this for. Here's why. Keep going." So, yes, absolutely. Keep going.
Awesome.
we
Well,
have to. I mean,
yeah.
it's our nature to do so.
Well, and
Yeah.
I know this is the first of many conversations, and we do have another wonderful conversation that we do have to get to. Normally, I wouldn't be saying this right now, but it's this. We don't even know where these conversations are going to go sometimes, but thank you for allowing us to go in this vulnerable route and helping us heal and
Thank
being
you.
open and just going with the flow. And I think this is the first of many conversations. Is there anything else that either of you want to end with?
I'll just say you kind. There's something about Winifred. She kind of cracks the egg a bit. We've talked more, I think, as much about ourselves as we have about our guest on this one, and I think that has everything to do with little magic happening from Winifred anyway.
Yes.
But yeah, this I think needs to be part one of many.
Of many.
And
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. This is fun, and you guys are a dream to be with. Honestly, I don't say that because we're on a podcast. I mean, the balance is something to look forward to. And, you know, Joe, when I saw you speak before I went out on the tour, or somewhere in the middle anyway, I don't remember now, I was so encouraged by your inclusion of how you presented it to everyone, which is what everybody out there needed to hear. They needed to hear kind of who was out there and what they were doing and why they were doing it and so on. And that was really nice. You didn't have to do that, but that was really nice for everybody. And when you guys came together, I was like, oh, wow, look at the synergy. Like, what are these guys doing? What are they doing? It's a welcome mat. And I think this is true from the speakers that I met. And I didn't get enough time with everybody, but everybody is an open door of let me share, let me, you know, I'm here for you kind of thing. And it's beautiful. So proud to be and have been part of this and alongside you and with you. So thank you for having me here today.
Of course. And where can people find you and your information?
Well, I'm in outer space. Good luck finding me, but
as we can see,
I'm actually from the central sun, so you'll have to move a few galaxies to get there. But no, honestly, makinglifebrighter.com, and Making Life Brighter is kind of my theme and message. I just launched the Quantum Galaxy Network, but we're working on that at the moment. And the Making Life Brighter is on Voice America on the Variety Channel every Thursday, and also on YouTube, but I'm in jail at the moment, so I have to come out of YouTube jail. But I'm on Rumble, and Facebook is where you can see that it's happening for as long as I get to be there. And, you know, I'm not a big shake everything upside down in controversy. I hope to be more of a solution person in health and wellness and healing, or at least bring to light people that have solutions. And also in what you're talking about with what you guys are doing, the solution people might be, just bringing those forward in consideration. So makinglifebrighter.com. There you go.
Well,
Awesome.
you've definitely made my life brighter. Uh,
Aw.
yeah, kind of a crazy meeting. Winifred and I have a lot in common, and I'm looking forward to exploring more of that in the future for sure. Please join us again on another interview that's maybe a little less out all over the place, but probably not. It probably will also be all over the place.
Yeah.
But
Well, thank
much
you
for
guys.
joining us.
And we're
Okay.
at Truth, and if sometimes we do a co-host, and whoever we interview, they post it as well. And we're primarily on Rumble at TruthStream, and then if you put with Joe and Scott in there, you'll really find it. And then all of our links are in our interview. So anyway, much love, thank you, and we'll talk to you very soon.
Thanks so much.
Go Jolly. Thank you.
Yeah, really appreciate it. Thank you.